Welcome back to my Winter Forge tutorial. Yes, and once again I apologize if it all seems a bit scatterbrained. I'm not very skilled at this sort of thing. Neither Winter Forge nor tutorials. Anyway, I think the gist or the basics of the anvil have been sufficiently explicated, I hope. If not, once I post this tutorial, ask questions, or, you know, I'll be happy to help. And I just want to say that one of my premises, this whole tutorial is predicated on the fact that I am a complete and utter idiot with regards to anything tech. I mean, so or anything mildly complicated. So if I can work the Winter Forge, then anyone can. I mean, literally anyone. A 2-year-old perhaps could. All predicated on my tech idiocy. You. So, before we get to the enchantment auto, which seems to cause the most problems for most people, let's look at the barrel. There are a whole bunch of things you can do here. I only use a couple of basics. Now, as was the case with material changes, the enchantment hotel has a bit of options. A few options you can fiddle with. Configuration options. I basically don't touch anything here. I just leave it as it is, because other things tend to disable enchantment routines. Keep the light mode on. Okay. Now the most important thing going. So my suggestion would be just to leave this be. It doesn't really, as long as you leave it be, everything should work fine. Yeah. And so normally, be it for materials, tints. I forgot the tint. I'll go back to that. This is all going to be a bit random, but I forgot to mention the tints for the anvil. Oh well, we'll get back to that. What you want is to enchant things is you need recipes, essentially recipes, which are composed of crystals, and the crystals themselves are composed of imbued ingredients, if you will, imbued elf root or imbued greenstone or whatever. Now, normally you will find these recipes scattered throughout Ferelden. The good lady Fanon, may her name be praised, has left various recipes in the tarnished elven writings. You'll see them, for example, quite a lot at the Circle of Magi, however you want to pronounce it, and in the temple, hidden temple, quest for the Urn of Sacred Ashes. So, anyway, but the point is that if you wanna, it becomes very tedious. I mean, I've played through so many times that I tend not to do it anymore. If you really want to search for every little component, yeah, that's how you do it. You'll find the recipes, and then you'll have to buy the components off of merchants and da da da. And I guess it's rewarding in that sense. And initially it was, you search and search, and then you finally have your recipe. And yeah, once you have, so the very first step in enchanting anything is to get your crystals together, because you can't enchant anything without the crystals. In order to do that, you need your items. And I'll show you how to imbue an item first. This would be if you weren't going to use cheats, which just sort of teleport what you need into your inventory. But so, oh, oops, second. Talents, enchantment. I should mention that these enchantment skills, yeah, which go up to 4, which they're based solely on they exist solely for the purpose of creating crystals. So there are different kinds of enchantments. If you notice, there are basic ones. I'm trying to remember the exact names. I tend to only use the pristine. The pristine are the best ones. And then there's something in between, maybe strong enchantments. I don't recall the exact name. When I apologize again. And they're sort of normal or weak or I forgot. But so we don't have high enchantment. I didn't fill this up for the very reason that I cheat my components, and because I don't want to run all about Ferelden looking for them. Anyway, so yes, that's what this is for. For the crystals. How do you imbue something? Well, you go to the enchantment hotel. Very simple. You look for some components you may or may not have. So we have a bunch of things. We have elf root. We have 4 of them. You put the elf root there, and you see a pop-up. You click on it. You successfully transform the reagents. I get so confused with languages. I think in English it's reagents. Anyway, the point is, I now have imbued elf root. Behold, the power of the enchantment hotel. Now, this is not remarkable in itself, but you need these imbued elf roots to create crystals. Now, I'm going to skip the fanfare of looking for recipes, and I will morph in a crystal recipe right now. So I go to the cheap pop-up. This will become important for many of you who don't want to run around Ferelden. And let me just punch this in, just a moment. C4A E4. Ha. So lesser enchantments. That's what the. So I've received a recipe for the faint constitution crystal. This is just an example. What do we want to do with this? Well, what we do is we take the components which we've received. Yeah? Imbued elf root. I guess. Anyway. Which include imbued distillation agent, a lesser attribute essence. Essences you can buy them off of merchants. They're important in creating crystals and in the actual, once you have the crystals, combining the crystals to create enchantments. I believe this is the recipe. Oh man, or maybe it's not. Okay, if you're ever not sure of a recipe and you've morphed something in, check your journal, which is what I'm going to do now. And I fear I'm going over the time limit again, so I will pause.